Actually, back in 1967, what were the objectives of ASEAN community?
We came up with three words that I think that constitute the main purposes of ASEAN. 3 P's: peace, progress, and prosperity. Peace, we have to have a little bit of security, but without overstressing the military side. Progress will be the economic, social, cultural integration, and prosperity, of course, is wealth and economic community as such. Those are the main objectives of ASEAN at the beginning, and we see we have as our model the European common market, but we understood quite well that it would take us a longer time. In 12 years we will not be able to get there.
Right.
But I'll tell you what we did at the beginning progressively. The first year the ASEAN Secretariat was in Bangkok. We rotate the ASEAN Secretariat the first 10 years.
Right.
So the second year it went to Malaysia, Indonesia first because it's close.
You mean the office?
The office of the ASEAN Secretariat went to Indonesia, and then back to Malaysia, then Singapore, then Philippines, and all. Second time around to Bangkok and all around.
Right.
Then after 10 years, we decided let's stay in Jakarta. Each country, Thailand has the Thai Secretariat. I was heading it for 3 or 4 years until 1970, and then we have ASEAN Secretary General meeting. So we have 5 ASEAN Secretary Generals for 10 years. And it took a longer time than the European community, but it's coming. And it's as we expected. It did arrive. I mean, everybody in the area, in the region, started to feel being part of ASEAN. We're not just Thai. We are Thai and ASEAN. We're not just Malaysia, but we are Malaysia and ASEAN. Not Singaporean, but also ASEAN. So the meaning of ASEAN is becoming more clear. You see, even after the first year of our formation, as a lawyer, international lawyer, I must try to get recognition. So what do? We try to get the king of the Belgian government is interested. Belgium is very close to Indonesia in the sense that Belgium's one of the languages is Dutch. They are the one that promised to provide us with technical assistance.
So Belgium was the first country that recognizes.
That recognized in terms of contributing an expert, let's call it this way, a world expert to draft on what should ASEAN be doing in terms of economic integration, economic cooperation. What is best for ASEAN, and he's providing us what you can't guess who he provides. It's a Turkish expert to suggest to us what ASEAN might be doing in the future.
At that time, were there any kind of documents that ASEAN signed with Belgium or any other countries? So we signed actually.
We signed with it, and they started sending collective representation to ASEAN. The European also said European Economic Community. I mean, EU has an EU ambassador. I was also the first ASEAN, I mean, as first as Thai ambassador to the Benelux, but the European community I was also representing.
You were actually representing
not only Thailand,
but also ASEAN.
And not only within Europe, but also in Latin America.
What were the difficulties, if there are, during the first stage of the ASEAN building?
Well, the difficulty is this. Let me tell you. I'll be quite frank, because Thailand is the only one who has been all along independent. We had no subjection, no foreign power to exercise, which is a good thing. But on the other hand, we lack the experience of being under somebody else. We tend to be a little bit taken for granted that we should have liberty, but other countries are not. But they're different, because look at Malaysia. Well, Malaysia would be closer to the British. In that sense, but then they have Chinese problem, and and they have other problem, and then when you come to Singapore, Chinese is not a problem because Chinese is the predominant
60 or 70%
language. Yes, wise, and so it's not a problem when you talk to. You have Chinese problem. He said no, we can't. Well, but Malaysia has some Chinese problem, and even the Philippines, even Indonesia has some Chinese problem. But gradually and with a lot of patience and I think the leaders are very cooperative in the sense that they are very understanding. They try to cultivate this sense of ASEAN togetherness, collectiveness. So we say that together we can survive, but isolated or alone, then it's very difficult to survive. And every one of us of ASEAN has been into this predicament before. I mean, they have been separated and divided and ruled, except Thailand. We could collaborate without fear of being double-crossed or anything, because we want to survive and we can survive. And so far, I think it's successful in the sense that we are surviving together and we're making progress. It may be slower than the European, of course, but it's not really that slow, because eventually we get there. And ASEAN is still here. Within our regional sub-regional community, we have also different in languages, but we have something in common. Chinese is common.
Right.
Bahasa is common. English is also common, because we have used this even from the very beginning, unconsciously or subconsciously. I mean, the first draft of everything is in English.
Okay.
You can't say that ASEAN has no ASEAN language.
Common
English
language.
was the common
language.
From the beginning. There's no need to impose Bahasa or Malay. Malay and Bahasa is the same, in fact.
So because we have many common things among the ASEAN countries, so perhaps you might have some expectation that we could go perhaps very far.
That's what inspired us at the beginning, and I think Foreign Minister Thanat Khomon was quite right in his far-sightedness. He's seen that why not? We should be able to do this, and I have been with him in the initial trips in order to persuade the ASEAN colleagues to come to Bangkok. I can report to you that Pa Adam has added one more preambular paragraph. He added about foreign base. He said foreign bases are temporary only and should be out of the region. Now, you see that this preambular paragraph proved to be correct. Now there's no more foreign bases anywhere in our part of the world. The political and security would come as a byproduct, as a consequence, as a logical consequence of economic integration. If you are integrated as an economic community, of course you get stronger militarily as well.